It's July 10th, 2025. We are about a third of the way through the month of July, and I believe that it is both state and federally mandated that we start talking about college football right now here on Midwest Sportsnet. Good evening. I'm Joey McWilliams. Glad to get to be with you again. It's been a while since we've done a live show, so we need to remedy that right now. We're going to take care of talking about some college football. Welcome to College Football this week here on Midwest Sportsnet. And we're going to be coming to you on Thursday nights. That is the plan for the next few weeks. And then when the college football season starts, we'll get you the full schedule after that. There'll be some Thursdays, some Sundays on the way. But let's not waste any time. Let's get right on into it and talk about what, again, is going on right now. Well, let's talk about what's in the news. And in the news this week, just a couple of days ago, the NAIA announced that there would be a new site for the national championship game in football. And that's going to be in Fort Worth, actually just a little bit south of Fort Worth. I guess the Fort Worth metropolitan area in the Crowley Independent School District, Crowley ISD multi-purpose stadium. And it's a fantastic place. It's wonderful. Anyone who wants to come watch a fantastic football game, whether it be high school, which, by the way, the North Crowley Panthers are the 6A1 Texas high school football champions. And that's a pretty big deal because you talk about 6A1 in the state of Texas, you're talking about the big boys. And so it is a fantastic facility. I've had the chance to be there a couple of times, I think 2 or 3, one or the other. Anyway, we were there last season for one of the Midwest Sports Saturday shows. We're going to be there again this year for a Midwest Sports Saturday show, and we're going to be there for the national championship game, the NAIA Football Championship game that's going to be on December 20th. So I would encourage you, if you are anywhere close to the area, go ahead and circle that on your calendar right now. Go ahead and put down December 20th NAIA Football Championship Series. The title game is going to be at Crowley ISD. Now, again, it is 8,000 seats. It absolutely gets everything taken care of. Nice facilities all the way around. Great jumbo board. Lots to do around the Fort Worth area. And if that's a part of what the decision-making process was and why, the NAIA decided to go this direction, there is so much to do in Fort Worth and, of course, the greater Dallas-Fort Worth metro area. A lot going on there. So, it's a good thing to do. Lots of hotels, everything like that. But it's just a good facility. It's a good place to be. So I'm excited about that. And granted, I will say it is a little bit closer to home for me. So making the trip to Durham, North Carolina really wasn't in the budget. And we're going to be making the trip to Fort Worth from where we're based here at Midwest Sportsnet. So the championship game is again on a Saturday. Now, that was news that came out in the spring. The NAC announcing some changes in the rules for 2025. The 3-year championship schedule for the NAI for the football playoffs, actually it's a 5-year championship schedule. It is on the NAI website. And it started in 2024, had it all laid out. The championship game was to be played on a Monday then. They made the adjustment and said, no, we're going to go ahead and play this game on a Saturday. So instead of the championship being 9 days after the national semifinals, it wound up being only 7 days, which works out. And playing the championship on a Saturday seems to work out. I would imagine for fans, even that much better for people wanting to make the trip to Durham or now, of course, to Fort Worth, to Crowley, to be able to watch that game. Having it on a Saturday makes it a little bit better. And I believe that the proposal also says that's the way it's going to be for the foreseeable future. So if you've looked at the 5-year championship calendar and saying, hey, wait a minute, it still says Mondays. It does. At least according to that PDF, but I believe the rules have been changed to where it's going to be on Saturday from here on out. So that is a really cool time. Also, football gets started in August. Now, that's really not a surprise in any way, but pretty much all of week 1 is in August. And it's not a week 0 thing this time around. It's week 1. The NAI, according to the football rules, really pretty much align with the NCAA football rules. I mean, if you're talking about the whole booklet of what the rules say, this is what we're going to do. This is actually how you play the game on the field. The NAI uses NCAA rules in, I think, almost every facet. Well, the NCAA week 1 is generally the football weekend, which is just prior to Labor Day, and that's the way it's going to be this year. Now, there is an NCAA Week 0, and that's out there. There are going to be some games played on August 23rd. One of my daughter's birthday is August 23rd, and you want to talk about the heat of the summer. It definitely is that. August 30th may not be much better, but it's 7 days closer to getting toward fall or whatever the case may be. So anyway, but the entirety of week 1 is in the month of August. So you've got games that are going to be played on Thursday, August 28th, and games that are going to be played on Saturday, August 30th. If you're an NAIA football fan, go ahead, circle that weekend. It is week 1, and we are going to be at one of those games. Actually, we're planning on going to Olathe, Kansas. That is the plan. So 7 weeks from today, on that Thursday night or Thursday afternoon, we're going to be going live from Mid-America Nazarene. Nelson is going to be in Olathe to take on Mid-America Nazarene in that week 1 competition, out of conference competition for both of them, but it should be something that's fun. So I'm excited about that one already. And so I encourage you to be ready for the live show 7 weeks from today, Midwest Sports Saturday on a Thursday. And you know what? I think that's the way we've pretty much always done our years. We start off the new athletic season with a Midwest Sports Saturday, but a Thursday edition of it. So we're ready for that, and I encourage you, go ahead and be ready for that one as well. All right, let's start talking some more about football. That's what's in the news right now. And if you look and you've been going to the school's websites, maybe your favorite NAI team's website, and over the course of the summer, springs in some cases, and actually I saw one of the NAI schools that already has 2026's schedule posted. And part of it's because, they know it's going to be just the flip of what 2025 was. So it's easy to put that up there. But a lot of schools get those schedules out in the spring and some into the summer. By now, I think almost every single, well, I take that back. There are one or two that don't have their football schedule posted online, but most everyone else does. And so you look at that and you start looking through some of the teams, maybe your favorite team, and you're looking and going, my goodness, this is tough. I don't know who we offended to get a schedule like this, whether it came from the conference office or whether it came from, somebody up high that said, hey, listen, we want to play all these games and we want to make it difficult on our team, so challenging. And so the question is out there, who does have the most difficult schedule in the NAI this season? And I'm going to present what I think is a possibility of who could have the most difficult schedule this season. I'm going to go ahead and pitch this. How about this? Benedictine. Now, I know that not everyone's going to agree with this, and so I'm going to pitch maybe a couple more over the course of the next couple of weeks. But let's look at this for just a moment. Now, Henchman 21, if Henchman 21 is watching, which, by the way, let me just say, hey, listen, if you're watching tonight live, let us know in the comment section from where you're watching, and we want to give a shout out to you. But if Henchman is 21 is watching this, he is a big-time Frontier Conference fan, and he's probably yelling at his monitor right now, and that's okay. I'm just pitching this to you. But take a look at this really quickly. Benedictine, the Ravens get things going in week 1 out of conference, and you want to talk about an out-of-conference matchup that is challenging in any given year. They're going to be hosting Morningside on Saturday, August 30th. That is a big-time challenge right there. Props, by the way, to Benedictine and to Morningside for putting this matchup on the calendar. And this is year 3 of this. It's been a home and away, year 1 and year 2. The winner of the game in each of those first 2 matches won by a field goal on the road. And so I guess that favors Morningside in this one by a field goal. If Vegas is running lines on this, I doubt this. When is the NAI going to get some Vegas lines going? I'm not sure. Anyway, but if Vegas were running lines, I'd say they'd probably have Benedictine by a field goal just from past history. But the fact that this is an out-of-conference game and it's on the schedule, and these two teams are not backing down from anyone. There are so many tough games in that first weekend. I count 41 football games right now, and that's without a couple of schools, again, that don't have their schedule up right now. 41 games, 12 on Thursday, 29 on Saturday, and some of those are brutal matchups in the month of August. Well, Benedictine has one of those as well. So you look at that, and then if you make it past Morningside at home, then what do you get? You go on the road and take on the defending national champions, Grandview, who hasn't lost a game they didn't lose any in 2024, so hasn't lost a game since 2023. Hasn't lost a conference game since about 2018. As a matter of fact, the Vikings have won 60 consecutive Hart Conference football games. Think about that again for a moment. 60 consecutive conference games. That's what Coach E.J. Peterson has inherited. But Benedictine on the road at Grandview. And then if you make it through those, which is a challenge enough as it is, then you get to take on Graceland at home. Now, that is a crossover game for Benedictine within the Hart Conference, but it is a big-time matchup. And you're talking about a high-powered offense with possibly the best player in the NAIA. I'm just pitching that as a possibility. Gerald Monroe, wide receiver for Graceland. If Graceland is at full strength in this game, this is a big time matchup there. So 1, 2, and 3, weeks 1, 2, and 3 right there. Brutal for Benedictine. Benedictine has not struggled against Clark in a while. Peru State coming off a 7-win season. That's a challenge right there. Missouri Baptist. Coach Burniak has a fantastic thing going on there. And since Missouri Baptist has made it into the Hart Conference, starting to make some noise. Took a little bit to get their feet under them, did the Spartans. But, and I have to say Missouri Baptist. My wife is from there, so I'm trying to stay in good graces with her. But Spartans, that's a tough challenge. Central Methodist, William Woods, a fledgling program, a new head coach there in year 2. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But then you go on against Missouri Valley and Baker, the top 2 winningest programs in NAIA history, number 2 and number 1 in back-to-back weeks. These are divisional games. These are Hart South games that are big time and will make a difference in a possible playoff spot. Baker, and then ending with Mid-America Nazarene. And Mid-America Nazarene's got the better of Benedictine in the last couple of years. And so new head coach there, but this is going to be a big time matchup too. So you look at it overall, this is an incredibly challenging schedule. Now, is it the most challenging schedule? I don't know. We'll pitch a couple more over the course of the next couple of weeks, but this is big time. I think this is huge. So Benedictine with something to play for. Shout out to Dave. Hey, by the way, Dave, good to see you, man. And you get to see Morningside there, at least in that first graphic. Now we're talking about it from the other side of the table, but still nice to see you there. So does Benedictine have the most difficult schedule? I think it's worth thinking about. So Henchman, if you're watching this one, please don't yell at the monitor that much. We'll throw out a Frontier schedule or two over the course of the next couple of weeks as well. We're talking about college football this week here on Midwest Sportsnet, and I want to say thanks to everyone watching, especially on the live stream tonight. And again, let us know from where you're watching. I have a good idea from where Dave's watching, so tell us who you are. Let us know from where you're watching tonight on this live stream. All right, now let's go back. Let's look right here. Talk about a couple more things in the news. Now, this one's not in the news. How about this? I want to ask this question. If you're looking at the season as a whole and you're saying, wow, last year, that was really competitive. I mean, there were some good teams last year, and ultimately it wound up being Grandview that came out on top. 14 consecutive wins, 14-0 on the year. So Grandview comes away with the championship. But then the question I would think that comes up next is, can Grandview repeat? And that's been something, well, we haven't seen it, as a matter of fact, since COVID, since 2020. That's not been something that's there. Looking back, and we'll just take this back through this millennium, okay? We'll just go back through there and talk about the champions there. Have there been repeat champions? Absolutely, there have been repeat champions. Morningside, how about that, Dave? Morningside in 2018 and 2019. And the Mustangs won 3 of 4 there over the course of that little stretch there. But I'm talking about repeat champions. So Morningside then, the prior 2 years, St. Francis of Indiana in 2016 and 2017. Coach Kevin Donnelly, who just recently retired, was the active winningest coach in NAIA. And obviously, I believe he's the all-time winningest coach in NAIA history as well. So you get 4 years, 2 back-to-back champions. And this, again, is prior to COVID. You go back a few years before that, Sioux Falls, a D2 school right now playing in the Northern Sun. Sioux Falls had a fantastic run, just a dominant team back in the 2000s and early 2010s. Sioux Falls, 2008, 2009 champion. So there's repeat. Then, of course, Carroll before that. And Carroll won 6 over a stretch there. But 4 consecutive years, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005. And then just before that, still within this millennia, or at least part of the way through this millennia, 2000 and 2001, Georgetown Tigers. Before that, you have to go all the way back to 88 and 89, my senior year in high school and my freshman year in college, at least football-wise. Carson Newman. And I actually got to see just a little bit of a playoff game in no, I didn't. Yeah, I did. I got to see a little bit of a playoff game. One playing Carson Newman. Southeastern Oklahoma State University was in the NAIA back then and got to see a playoff game there in Durant. But now that was in 1988. So what I mentioned there is that this hasn't happened since COVID. Did COVID make that big a difference? No, COVID did not make that big a difference. And while I take time to pause right there, shout out to Michael. Hey, Michael, good to see you, man. Thanks for watching and being online for a little bit tonight. I know you have a lot going on where you are right now, and it's after 9 o'clock. So thanks for staying up a little bit later just to say hi here. Okay, but here's the deal on this. It's a trickle down effect from Division I. Okay, so we're going to talk NCAA Division I every now and again here on the channel. We're going to talk NCAA Division II more often than that here on the channel because we support Division II, Division III, NAIA, but I have a lot of ties to Division II, so definitely want to talk about that. But you go to Division I, you talk about NIL money that really has it's blown up even with the settlement. It's going to take a little bit to get everything in place for this court settlement and the whole NIL thing, and were people paid like they were supposed to be paid, and should they have gotten more money? And yes, there's this absolutely ridiculous billions of dollars of settlement that's going to go out to players who haven't played football, by the way, in like 10 to 15 years that are going to get money in this. But around that COVID time, so you've got NIL changes and college football just became the wild, wild west. On top of that, you have the transfer portal. Now, the transfer portal is an NCAA thing. It's not an NAIA thing. There is no transfer portal, quote unquote, in the NAIA. You can transfer, but you don't put your name in, on a list somewhere and say, hey, I'm out here. Come pick me, and be the pick me girl for whatever team you want to go to. That's not the case. But because of what happens in the NCAA, specifically Division I, and you've got people in this transfer portal, and you see it in Division II, and you see it in Division III, and all this is out there, well, the NAIA both reaps the benefits of this and suffers the consequences of this too. From one perspective, you have, by the way, one more thing that factors in with all this settlement going on. There are roster limitations now in NCAA Division I. So more people going to the transfer portal, more people that are out there. You can get a trickle-down effect to the NAIA in the sense that there are going to be some D1 players out of jobs who are going to try to find a D2 opportunity or a D3 opportunity or an NAIA opportunity. But if they find a D2 opportunity, there may be a D2 player out of a job, quote unquote, trying to find a D3 opportunity or, as this perspective of what college football is that trickles down that way. So you can reap the benefits of it if you're an NAIA team. You can also see players just get scooped up and taken away. Hey, player that was great on your team this year, someone sees you and says, hey, these rules are all, they're all in flux right now, and you can come in, and that doesn't matter where you played before. You can transfer here and everything's fine. So they suffer the consequences of that too. That in mind, all of this happened around the time that COVID was taking place. And I think there were, I'm not going to go conspiracy theory on you right now, but I'll just say there was a lot of other people looking at a lot of other things and not looking at college football. More people are looking at college football right now. I don't know if they need to be looking at other things anyway, but the point is more people see that now and are going, hey, listen, we need to fix this. So with that in mind, can Grandview repeat? It's a different world than it was even when Morningside repeated in 2018, 2019. Well, I think the blueprint is there. And I think that Grandview has a great opportunity to repeat if they have a lot of things in place. Who put the blueprint together? I submit to you tonight, Kaiser put the blueprint together. The Kaiser Seahawks have been to the national championship game 3 consecutive years. Now, they did not repeat, but to get to that championship game back to back to back means you're doing something right. What all is Kaiser doing right? Under Coach Sosha, Kaiser did a lot of things well, and then the ball was handed to Coach Russ, who has taken Kaiser to a championship game. All right. There, Michael. There's your Seahawks drop. I was planning on a Kaiser reference tonight. Didn't know for sure when it was going to come in, but here you go. Kaiser did it. How do they do this? How do they get to back championship games? Well, number one, Michael would say they have a good long snapper, but also exceptional defense. Had a good defense. Now, that defense didn't necessarily always hold opponents off the scoreboard. I mean, there were points that were scored in 22 and 23 and 24. I think the exceptional defense came into play and really was on display from the Seahawks from the perspective in the playoffs. When Kaiser made it into the playoffs, and this is a team that went, up against Division II programs and a Division I program in their pre-conference schedule. They would come into the playoffs maybe with a record that people think, that's not really that good a record. How are they getting there? They worked hard. They get to the playoffs, and then they held opponents out of the end zone when they needed to. This was a team that on defense in the playoffs bowed up when opponents got into the red zone and tried to get game-tying and game-winning scores. And Kaiser had exceptional defense to get them into back-to-back championship games. Now, and I'm not saying had from the standpoint that it's gone, but had over those past 3 years. Kaiser had solid play at quarterback. You look at 2024, Shea Spencer is back. You look at 23, Bryce Veasley over the course of the year. And then in the championship game, how about Justin Wake coming off the bench? Had seen some time over the course of the season, but hadn't played in more than a month, goes into the championship game and leads Kaiser to a national championship, winning with the performance there against Northwestern. Excellent play at quarterback. Back to Shea Spencer in 2022. Shea Spencer, by the way, in 2025, he's definitely, he's making the most of all of his eligibility. All right, so how else did Kaiser do it? They had a strong running game. Andrew Burnett, 2024. I mean, he was, as it was posted here in the chat, more often than not, a beast in 2024. 2023, you look back at that. Jaden Meisinger and Andrew Burnett shared times there. Also in 2022, both of them, a whole lot more. Meisinger in 2022, 1,600 yards plus in 2022. A strong run game. A strong offensive line. This is, again, blueprint from Kaiser. Gave up only 11 sacks in 2024. That's over the entirety of the season. They make it to the championship game. And then, of course, a good coach. Well, in 2024, they get an assistant coach who steps up, takes the lead coach position. There are many things already in place, but he puts his own stamp on it as well. Proves himself to be the AFCA NAIA Coach of the Year for 2024, and Kaiser makes it back to the championship game. So there's your blueprint right there. So that adds the question, can Grandview repeat? Let's go back and look. Do they have an exceptional defense? In 2024, they sure did. Gave up only 8.3 points per game, and at one point against Clark, negative 20 rushing yards for an entire game. Absolutely a fantastic performance. Great defense from Kaiser. They're going to bring back, and they do it in 25. They bring back John Argo, linebacker, Hart North Defensive Player of the Year, Cade Sheedy, linebacker, first team All-North, Jackson Filer, incredible defensive end, also in first team All-North. This is big-time play from big-time performers. Are they going to have an exceptional defense? There are already pieces in place right there coming back for 2025. Strong quarterback. Do they have a strong quarterback? I would imagine you could say so. Jackson Waring is the NAIA Player of the Year, defending Player of the Year for 2024, and obviously first team All-Hart North and All-American Player of the Year. Do they have solid play at quarterback? They did in 2024, and I have no reason to think that Jackson Waring is going to be anything less in 2025. How about the strong run game? Dalton Van Pelt. He had 816 rushing yards on the year. He didn't have to have as many because Waring picked up so many yards on the ground as well. Strong arm, but strong legs. I mean, he has a physique and he has the talent and he can get it done. So 13 rushing touchdowns from Dalton Van Pelt, but the running game from Jackson Waring alone in the championship game, I mean, my goodness, he ran all up and down the field on Kaiser in that game, leading Grandview to a 21-point victory over those Kaiser Seahawks I've been promoting so much on the show so far. Big game from Grandview in that. Do they have a strong offensive line? Well, Kaiser gave up only 11 sacks in 2024 to get to the championship game. Grandview gave up only 12 sacks as a team to get to the championship game. And 3 first-team players on that offensive line are back. 1 second-team member of the I'm talking about 3 first-team players in the All-Heart Conference were on the offensive line last year. 2 second-team and an honorable mention. 1 second-team and honorable mention, All-Heart. 4 of those 5 on the offensive line are coming back for 2025. Do they have a strong offensive line? It looks that way. And finally, head coach. Well, Joe Woodley did a fantastic job in his time, led Grandview to the national championship game. He's turning over the reins, just like Coach Sosha did to Coach Russ, turning over the reins to E.J. Peterson. Peterson was the Hart North Assistant Coach of the Year in 2024. All the things are in place. Everything is in place for Grandview to repeat. Now, can they do it? I think the big thing here is really, that intangible that, given all those stats, all those numbers, yes, Grandview has everything in place to be able to repeat in 2024. I think the real question here is, can they do it? Will they stay healthy? And that's the big deal overall. Can they stay healthy for an entire season? All those players that we mentioned that were great in 2024, all conference players, all Americans, player of the year, do they stay healthy and get it all together? And Coach Peterson has something really in place for him to be able to do that. So that is there. Yeah, Kaiser, by the way, amazing for 3 years. And Michael says, hopefully this year as well. So we'll see what happens. We'll talk about Kaiser, I know, a little bit later on as we go on. That brings us then, though, and I alluded to this conference a little bit earlier. And so I want to throw it out there right now because, again, if Henchman 21 watches this, he's going to say, hey, listen, you can't talk about the most difficult schedule in the NAIA without bringing up a Frontier Conference team. Maybe. And I think that we're probably going to do that next year. But let's go back and let's look at the Frontier Conference because it's a totally different look this year. It is absolutely a different feel. It is a new frontier, if you will. Dr. Scott Crawford coming into the Frontier, got there in a time where they were looking to make some changes in the conference and help facilitate some of those changes to bring in conference realignment. You bring in Simpson as a football team. You bring in 4 North Star Athletic Association teams as football teams. You bring in a lot. And honestly, if you look at this right here, and let's bring, as I used to say when I taught U.S. history, let's go to the map, shall we? So we go to the map right here, and you look at this. This is what the Frontier Conference looks like right now. Take a look at that. You're talking about, and I'm talking about in football. You'll notice the lighter shade in Nebraska. We'll get to that in a moment. But in football, Arizona, California, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, all represented. 7 states represented there. There is some big-time travel that's going to go on. Now, for some other schools, it actually helps with the travel a little bit. You're talking about just maybe 1 flight for all these teams, but I'm pretty sure a flight's going to be involved for pretty much everyone there. But this is now 14 football teams. Okay. And consider that for just a little bit. 14 football teams that are there. And you also look at that shade of light blue there in Nebraska. You have the national runner-up in volleyball represented by Bellevue, who is there. So, this is a huge, huge conference that with the addition also of Bismarck State in North Dakota, making the move from from junior college to NAIA in 25-26. Now you have 12 teams overall but you have 14 in football. And it could grow even more than that, because I'm not sure they're done yet with that. Let's take a look at something really quickly. This from 406 Sports. So if you haven't caught up with 406 Sports, great sports coverage in Montana. Let me make sure I've got this down there. This is from 406 Sports back in June. This is from Dr. Scott Crawford, who says, and I'm going to try to make sure I can read this properly here. I probably should have brought the granddaddy glasses down here, but anyway, we'll make it work. Additional Frontier football expansion looms. You thought 14 teams was enough? No, there could be more. Bismarck State not playing football this season. Of course, they're not playing football this season. They haven't played football in a long time. Plans to do so beginning in 2027, Crawford said. That creates a 15th football playing member, presumably pushing the East Division's team total to 8. A corresponding 16th team addition, Crawford said, would make sense, and options are already being explored and considered. Further football expansion could eliminate the potential for an East Division rotation among Montana Tech heading east for 2025 and geographically similar Carroll College and Montana Western. So let's talk about that really quickly. As you see that in front of you, we'll leave it up there for just a moment. Shout out to Andrew. Hey, Andrew, thanks for being here. Sorry that the notifications let you down. Well, this is the first live show of the 25-26 season, so it's all right. That's fine. We'll try to be on Thursday nights around this time for the upcoming weeks, getting ready for the season. And again, Thursday, August 28th, Midwest Sports Saturday, we're going to be live from Olathe, Kansas. So be ready for that one. We'll have our weekly preview show on a Tuesday or Wednesday that week. I did not get confirmation from Bismarck State on this, but Dr. Crawford has been pretty reliable. And for him to go on record and saying this, again, this is June 9th, I believe, was the date of this article, this posting. Bismarck State planning to get football in 27, so 27, 28. An additional 16th member might be on the way as well. And you would think that you might be looking further west. Bismarck State kind of keeps things on the eastern portion of the new Frontier Conference. Are there other schools out west? Do you have to poach a school from another conference if you do that? You know, that's one of the big things too. We're going to be talking in a week or two about teams that you think could make the playoffs. You know, one of the questions ahead that we want to look at is what teams are on the outside looking in could make it this year. To do so, you got to take one of this year's playoff teams out of the running because you have a limit of that hard 20 in there. So anyway, are you going to have to poach another conference to do this? Does someone else come up with another program, decide to add football along the way? It's happening. Mount Mercy will have football in 26, 27. So that's a big deal. And I mean, Hart Conference, hey, there's another team that's going to be right there in the middle of your mix. You have 14. That's looking at a 15th team there in the Hart Conference. Rio Grande, who is playing with the Appalachian Conference, the AAC there, starts its first year of football this year. William Woods had its first year of football last year. And there are other schools along the way. You know, there are a number of schools that are in the USCAA, which is basically a small school affiliation, I guess is the best way to say that. It's not a small school conference. It actually used to, by the way, it used to be called the Little College Association. Then it was small college. Then it's the U.S. Collegiate Athletic Association, whatever it is. But there are a number of schools out there. You don't necessarily have to poach a conference to add another school to your league because there are schools that are bringing football in. It's just the geographic location. You know, are there schools that would fit within the Frontier Conference that have football, planning to play football, bring football in, that if you were trying to explore that option of getting a 16th team, do you have to poach a conference to do it? That's the thing too. And you know what? Although there are expansions, I mean, we have to say, listen, there are some other things going on, and feel for Siena Heights and the changes that are going to be happening. So if you're a Siena Heights fan, cheer on the Saints this year. It's going to be the last year to do that from the athletic standpoint. So keep that in mind as well. So new Frontier Conference, still some challenging schedules. No way around that at all. All right, let's talk about one more thing tonight. And again, shout out to everybody watching tonight. Thank you, Andrew, for letting us know you're here. Let us know you're here, and let us know from where you're watching tonight. We appreciate that. College football this week, starting now. Episode number 1 of the new look here on Midwest Sportsnet. Don't forget, by the way, we have had so many college football and college volleyball coaches interviews here on the channel of late. And it's been a lot of fun. Had 2 more. Got to visit today with Coach Chuck Hepela, who is now the AD also at Evangel, and with Coach Candace Moats, football and then volleyball from Indiana Wesleyan. Coach Moats' team back-to-back national champions. And so that's right here on Midwest Sportsnet. So you may want to check that out as well. All right. One last thing we need to look at here for sure tonight, and that is this. Do you realize that turnover for coaching in the NAIA is bigger than what you would think? And it's not, I don't think it's anything like coaches that are on the hot seat necessarily in Division I programs. And this is not one of those shows where we're going to come out and say, hey, this coach is on the hot seat, and unless Coach Random, wins at least 7 games this season, Coach Random, may be looking for a different job. That's not the case here. We're not going that direction at all. But there's been turnover, and it's been for a lot of reasons. I mean, last year there was turnover. Well, national championship coach in 2023 steps out, takes a new job on the Division II level. Coach Sosha takes a new job. He stepped out. He definitely was not fired. I'm sure that Kaiser would have had him for as long as he wanted to be there. Same thing in Grandview. You get Coach Woodley stepping out, taking the Division I job after a national championship. So no firings going on there, no ill will, anything like that. Matter of fact, Coach Woodley, I don't even think he had to move. He took a job right there in Des Moines. So probably didn't even have to move at all or make a whole lot of changes to his family's routine and getting to school and getting to the grocery store and all those Walmart trips. So that's fine. But there has been a lot of turnover. And this year, 18 of the 94 NAIA football teams have a first-year coach. Okay, now let's break it down really quickly. Rio Grande, Coach Thurston, he's a first-year coach because it's a first-year program. So, that it's not like there was turnover there to get that. I already talked about Grandview. Turnover, yes, but they have hired from within. So we're going to look at some of those coaches here this evening and kind of get an idea of what's going on. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and let's start with Grandview then. And by the way, just to give you a little bit more of a perspective on this, 18 of 94 first-year coaches, first year at their program in 2025. 13 of 95 in 2024 were first-year coaches. Now, I'm not going to count William Woods twice because there's already been a coaching change there from year 1 to year 2. So I'm not counting them twice. That means 31.5% of all NAIA teams this year have either a first-year or second-year coach. That's an amazing number. All right, so we look at let's look at Grandview there. So we'll take a look there. E.J. Peterson, and he comes in as he was the defensive coordinator for the past 6 seasons at Grandview. Prior to that, he linebacker and defensive coordinator, linebacker coach, defensive coordinator at Ferguson. Class of 2011 for Grandview, an All-American, played professionally for a bit there with the Iowa Barnstormers, and he's actually a member of the Hall of Fame already. How cool is that? So E.J. Peterson stepping in for a Grandview program again that won a national championship last year. How much success can he have there? I think that the sky's the limit for what he can do. Another one of the coaches, we're going to look at a few here this evening. We'll look at a few more next week. LaQuentin Black, prior to his assuming the head coaching position at Missouri Valley, well, he was at Northern Iowa, safeties coach there, Hutchinson Community College, co-defensive coordinator, coached defensive backs there, Division I Troy, a GA then for safeties and defensive backs, and associate head coach and passing game coordinator at Central Methodist, was in the class of 2012 at Missouri Valley, so he's coming back to his alma mater as well. Also played a season at Tulsa, and he played for an incredibly good I mean, historically, perennially good program in my neck of the woods near where I grew up, played for Davis. So if you are familiar with the Davis Wolves, LaQuinton Black played there long time ago. I mean, we're talking about in the 2000s when he was there, but I grew up in Ardmore, Oklahoma. And so the Davis Wolves, which is just down the road from Ardmore, skip a county over. And I mean, year in, year out, you're talking about Davis going to the 2A playoffs and 2A state championship and, winning so many of those. So, big time place for him right there. So, all right, let's go back and let's see here. Yeah. LaQuinton Black, he'll be at Missouri Valley this year. He takes over for Casey Crehan, and Coach Crehan was at Missouri Valley for just one season. He was Peru State for a couple of years, coached at Lyon College for a couple of years, NAIA, now D3. But Coach Crehan took a position with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, so he's going to be coaching on the professional level, coach of the D-line there, and actually it gave him a little bit more time to be with his family. So, again, not a bad reason for a change right there or anything along those lines. All right, we move on along. Another new coach in a new position, Matt Middleton. Matt Middleton most recently was coach at Harding and the quarterbacks and backs coach. Now, if you're familiar with Harding football, then this is a running game extraordinaire. I mean, this is, what we see on the NAIA level with what Friends has done in recent years. Harding has done that as well, also to the tune of a national championship in 2023, the Harding Bisons. And yes, by the way, I did say that correctly. It is Bisons in Harding. Harding Bisons with the national title there. Coach Middleton at Southern Arkansas before that as an offensive coordinator. Coach quarterbacks at Harding, offensive coordinator. Head coach for Cedar Creek High School, West Washita High School, Prairie View High School, and was at Louisiana Tech as well. And this is one of those things, too. If you look at Coach Middleton, Harding has the flex bone. And I mean, it's a big time ground game. It's a big time ground attack there. I mean, you're talking about just constantly forcing the issue. The offensive linemen, the different backs in the backfield, where's it going to go? I mean, misdirection on some kind of incredible level. These guys have to be brilliant to run this offense. And they are, and they've run it so well over the course of the last few years. But I had heard stories about how the offense came into play there. And I checked in with Scott Good, who is the sports information director at Harding and a friend of mine. And I said, Scott, this is what I've heard before about Harding. And go back to the days of Coach Ronnie Huckabee, who was at Harding way back when, and the longtime coach for the Bisons. And, I heard him say, we just got to try something different. And so that he said, let's bring this in. Well, obviously that's a little bit oversimplified, but what Scott said, as the story goes, is that, there were so many plays being run. I mean, the offense, if you run just a pass game offense and you've got this going on, stops the clock. There was a game that they had played against an opponent north of them somewhere and had run like 108 plays, 108 offensive plays. And Coach Huckabee said, we've got to do something different. So they bring in the flex bone, and it's going to slow the game down, which it does. I mean, you're talking about shortening the game because with that ground game going, clock's going to continue running. All those things happen. So you're going down from not only you getting, less than 80 plays a game, maybe 60 plays a game. Now, especially if you have a good defense, you're going to keep the other team from not 100 plays to not 80 plays to maybe just 60 plays in a game. Well, you've shortened the game, you've slowed things down, you've made things better for your defense. And that was the key too. He said, I have to help my defense. My defense has been on the field way too much. Well, yeah, he's going to be out on the field for 108 plays. That's way too much. So they institute the flex bone. And it was not necessarily something that everyone wanted to do. This is another great story, by the way, and I hear this is true. So if you're watching this, Coach Simmons, this is what I'm hearing. It's a true story, and I've heard it from more than one place. So just backed up from Scott that when Coach Huckabee said, we're going to bring in the flex bone, which, mid-late 2000s, even 2010s, This is a relic. This is something, you think back to the Oklahoma Sooners, Nebraska Cornhuskers running that ground game. This is back in the 70s, even in the 80s some, but not in the 2000s, not in the 2010s. And so the story is that Coach Simmons, who was the defensive coordinator at the time, now head coach, wrote a letter and annotated 10 reasons why this is a bad idea. It's proven to be a good idea. That's the joke to that story. There's your bottom line right there. It's proven to be a good idea. And not only has Coach Simmons gotten on board with this, he's taken over when Coach Huckabee stepped out. Coach Simmons stepped in, took the head coach position, and they've continued to be with this flexbone offense and ridden it all the way to a national championship. So one national championship later, I'm pretty sure Coach Simmons is okay with the flexbone now, but he was happy that they did it then. But you look at this too, and think about this. We've been doing these previews and talking to coaches about offensive lines and defensive lines and how much depth, you want to have on that defensive line. And you're talking then about taking a game where if you have, a 4-down lineman, 4 defensive linemen, and that's what you're going with. You're running 4-3 or something with 4 defensive linemen there. And it's 80 plays a game or even 100. Even if you rotate that, you're rotating someone in and out every single time. You're talking about all those defensive linemen having to play 50 plays a game. Even at, 90 or 80, it's 45, 40. You shorten the game then to where they're looking at just 60 plays a game, maybe less if they're good enough and get a 3 and out more often, but 60 plays a game. You rotate those 8 players in and out and in and out. Let's just say everyone gets 1 apiece. Boom, 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 back and forth. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And wow. Now you're talking about 30 plays apiece a game. How much more do those defensive linemen have in the tank? How much more can they afford to be able to walk up and say, I've given it all for this. I don't care if it's the third quarter. I know I'm not giving up everything in the tank. I can do this. How big is that for your defensive line? Yeah. let me throw that one up there really quickly. Dave, you're exactly right. And by the way, I've asked this question a number of times to coaches who have to coach against the flex bone. And it's one of those things. Would you rather play this team in week 1 where you have the summer to get ready for it, or week 6 when it's just going to be something you hope you can throw something together between week 5 and week 7 to make it happen? So anyway, that's what's there. But all right, so let's say it's a tough one. One other thing too, by the way, and I mentioned this, Coach Middleton may not run a flexbone offense. He doesn't have to. I think he likes to throw the ball. So we'll see if that's something. But at least he has the experience, and he also would be able to prepare. Because listen, that Kansas Wesleyan game. Let's go back here and see if I can bring this back up here. That Kansas Wesleyan game for Friends now takes on a different look. And I think we're going to be in Wichita for that one. That's November 1st. And I think Midwest Sports Saturday is going to be in Wichita for that game. Please don't quote me on that one just yet, but we're looking at that one. At the very least, Coach Middleton has the experience knowing, I've seen this flexbone. I've seen this ground game a lot of times. I know what might work against it from the defensive standpoint. Just throwing that out there as a possibility. It could be that way, maybe. Lawrence Tech, Coach Olenichek coming in. First year at the program there. He was at Lawrence Tech last year, came with Coach Scott Merchant, and was the offensive coordinator, coached the offensive line as well. Head coach in a couple of schools there in Michigan, Shrine Catholic, UD Jesuit there, as well as some assistant coach stops in Campbell, Michigan State, a couple of D1 schools, Wayne State D2, and played football, was in the class of 1995 at Central Michigan. So Coach Olenichek, we have the interview with him from a little bit earlier this summer, so you may want to check that out there on Midwest Sports Net. Look over here. John Perrin, defensive coordinator for Georgetown for 3 years. He takes over for Coach Chris Oliver, who steps full-time into the athletic director role. There are no coaches in the NAIA who are taking on a dual role of football coach and AD. Well, Coach Oliver says, no, I'm going to take the AD role. Coach Perrin coming in from Birmingham Southern, no longer a program, I believe, defensive coordinator there, Morehead State, Eastern Michigan, and the list goes on. Graduated from Center, which is a Division III school. He was defensive backs coach there. Class of 2008 back then. So there's Coach Perrin in that. And we look at one more. And I mentioned this briefly earlier. I alluded to it earlier. Coach Julian Mendez, who was the head football coach for William Woods for 2024, got the program started. He stepped out. Sam Camp has come in now. And Coach Camp was at William Woods as the offensive coordinator last year. Western New Mexico, a couple of stops. Offense coordinator most recently. Quality control on the defensive side of the ball at Army. And wow, I don't know enough to say too much here except to go, if you're quality control at Army, that's a big deal. I would think that is a huge, huge operation there. Texas Wesleyan, Kansas Wesleyan, and played at Friends, class of 2018. He's done a lot here in a short amount of time. I think Coach Dion Manili, that would have been one of his years there as the head coach at Friends. So, all right, that is a look at what we have on the table as well. And you know what, Michael, you're exactly right. We do need to come to South Florida. We want Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet would be packed and ready to go right now if we were to come to South Florida. And we do have family. One of my daughter's in-laws live in Tampa in the St. Petersburg area. We visited there a couple of times, so we need to go back and do that sometime and check all that out. So yeah, okay. Listen, you'll have to tell us where to stay once we get down there, and I can promise you, Michael, if the time comes, and when the time comes at Midwest Sports Saturday does a live show in South Florida, you'll be on board with that, and I'll be looking you up because we need to connect on that. Let me start wrapping up with this and talking about connections. We have a number of connections here on Midwest Sportsnet with folks who have some other great channels. You talk about Corey over at NAIA Football, and fantastic job that he does over there. He works with Matt, getting things done during the summer and, of course, during the course of the year. Corey will come on the forum with us, which we're going to air that in about a month, I think right at a month from now, a little more than a month. I think it's August 11th. Vince Delicio, at Varsity Sports Show out in Phoenix. Corey's out in Florida. Vince is out in Phoenix. He does a great job. We enjoy having him over on the channel. And, of course, the guys with the Champion Sports Network, they also work the Nelson University Sports Network down in Waxahachie, Texas, which is just a little bit south of the Dallas area there. Probably could be called the Dallas area, but south of Dallas proper. And I think with the national championship game being played in Fort Worth this year, I think that a lot of us are going to get a chance to connect. And we've been talking about that, online and some of the messages, sending things back and forth. This could be really cool. So here I am, July 10th, telling you that 5 months and 10 days from now, on December 20th, it could be a big time meetup in the Fort Worth area around Crowley ISD and maybe even around the whole Fort Worth area. And that could be one of those things that if you're a fan of Midwest Sportsnet or one of those other channels that I mentioned, that it'd be a good time to get to meet somebody and maybe I'd have a chance to get to meet you. Maybe your team comes and plays and is a part of the championship game. Who knows? Some of the guys in the comment section right now could be one of you all. So I'd love to get to meet you if that's the case. But the plan is to be in Fort Worth December 20th. But again, that is 5 months and 10 days from now, and a lot is going to take place between now and then. So college football this week is a thing on Midwest Sportsnet, and I encourage you, please put Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, 7 Mountain, for those of you guys that are watching us in that stretch of the Frontier Conference, and 6 out on the Pacific time zone, and Simpson fans and more. Could be some Southern Oregon fans in there, Eastern Oregon fans in there as well. So keep that in mind. We have so many more interviews left to be done here in the summer. So please come by the channel and check those out. If you've not already subscribed to the channel, please do that. It does make a difference. And we would just be grateful. You can join, you can become a member of the channel and help support us here with those things too. That's a big deal as well. But to Michael, to Dave, to Andrew, and I want to check to make sure, did I get everybody in there? Yeah, everybody that's stopped by tonight, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate that. It sure does mean a lot. For those of you who are watching the live stream, start to finish tonight, it means a lot. We're going to be back next Thursday. We have some more questions to answer. We have some more coaches to look at their resume, where they're coming from, and how they got to this point in the year. So many new coaches, first-year coaches at their program. Did I have the best choice for most difficult schedule? Well, again, I don't think Hinchman thinks so, but you know what? We'll find out. We'll pitch somebody else next week as well, and a few other things. As a matter of fact, we're going to talk about Gerald Monroe in the very near future. And, we've been watching him play on Saturdays. Could we watch him play on Sundays? We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. Los, thank you very much. Appreciate that. God bless you. Thanks for subscribing. And that does mean a lot. It helps a lot. The channel's growing, and that is because of people like you. But I enjoy the community. And so I appreciate you guys coming by. So thanks for watching tonight. If you're watching live, you're right here. God bless you. Thank you for watching. Be sure next Thursday night, if you are watching the replay and you have made it this far into the broadcast, you're an absolute trooper. So thank you for that as well. We'll sign off here tonight and say God bless you. More interviews on the way. And the summit, by the way, is heading for episode number 500. We're getting close to that too. So keep that in mind. Midwest Sportsnet, thanks for watching college football this week. I'm Joey McWilliams. God bless you. Have a great night.